All right, we're good.
Yep. All right. So I'm gonna read it again real quick. All right. So so I'm in a sorority, and there's a lot. Like obviously, there's our national leaders, then we have like our regional ones, our ones in our individual chapter, and then like the people under them as well. And it's such like a large organization. You have to be prepared for a crisis at all times, even like ones that you don't. Obviously, ones that you don't expect, you need to anticipate. So what our sorority does is our national headquarters comes up with like a crisis management plan and sends that down the line to each individual one. So then each person in every single sorority knows exactly what to do in the case of a communication, who handles the media, what to say if like media or outside people ask about it. So it's just kind of like making sure that people at every single level know what to do and who to talk to, so that no one makes like rash decisions if it's not their decision to make.
Yeah, the athletic department has that too, obviously, because some athletes do stupid things, and like, so there's the team, the coaches, and then there's all the athletic directors who are trained for crisis if anything happens, and they always take care of the media, just like your sorority crisis people, and they'll also decide like what the punishment is for the athlete or team that has done something bad. But they handle mostly everything when something like that happens.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I think the leaders really need to do whenever there's a crisis is take responsibility, because if they don't take responsibility for what happened in the organization, people will just kind of like see it as a hollow, like people won't believe him, and they'll think that he's just kind of hiding something more. So he needs to face up for what happened, and then actually kind of detail everything that went by. To he has to be honest, he has to be truthful, and he has to just kind of like tell the just be what's what I'm thinking of. I don't know, but he just has to make sure that people definitely understand that he's doing the best in his ability to try to take care of the situation at most.
Yeah, I took a public relations class, and that was like one of the main things that we talked about. One of our sections was on like risk management, and like what I got from it was that like it's important to address what happened and just be upfront about it and like say what went wrong, but then also talk about the steps that what you're gonna do to make sure that it doesn't happen again, instead of just saying like, this happened, I'm sorry. Like, you need to talk about what's going to happen to change that.
Yeah, and I think that's a big issue nowadays with professional athletes. Like, how many cases have we had where domestic violence has been a huge part of it, right? And it keeps happening, and they beat around the bush, and then like surveillance video comes out, and then you're like, oh, okay, like that actually happened. What are you going to do in order to prevent it? And they don't do anything. They instead just come out with a statement saying they're sorry, and then suspended for a game, and then are able to play again after they basically just beat their wife or partner,
Yeah, a little different. I just read the first page of chapter 13. It was 2004, I believe. Like 6 people died from taking too much Tylenol, and the CEO like owned up to it. And after that, they kind of just like changed their ways, and they went from like caplets to capsules, whatever the difference is. And like now the sales were double.
Yeah.
So once they owned up, they felt credible, and then people kind of trusted them again, so they bought the product.
Yeah, this is when like leaders actually thrive. I was doing the research on like charismatic leaders, and they're saying like during like situations where it's like huge like a risk or something goes wrong, like a crisis. Well, that's when like charismatic leaders like really step up, and that's when people start really following them, when they start like leading the way through like a terrible time in the company.
Yeah, I also think when a leader does that, it also shows their true colors. Because, like, you could have a leader who you think's awesome, and then when in time of crisis, completely avoids it or like tries to flee. So I think that's when leaders' true colors come out, is when in time of crisis. Because leaders are going to be able to deal with that and keep it under control.
I also think too, though, that if you have a really, really thorough risk management plan or crisis management plan, and you pound it in everyone's heads, then it shouldn't be so jolting that you need leaders to emerge out of nowhere, because if you have that in place, and it should just kind of be like a strict thing to follow. It shouldn't be so scary, you know?
Yeah, the key is for everyone to be calm. If everyone's like going crazy, then like, it's not good leadership, and the company just looks like it's out of control.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's important to make everyone aware that those things can happen, instead of like trying to act like everything's perfect and nothing bad could go wrong, because then when it does go wrong, everyone freaks out.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like an evacuation plan at schools, you know, like this, if something does happen, like this is where you go. Like, did you guys ever do that? Like, you had a certain spot, like on the field or like in the auditorium, you know, for evacuation plans. I think it's like a good example of crisis management and getting it through everyone's head. Like, if we're in a crisis, this is what you do.
Yeah, well, in my high school, we did that, and since you're not supposed to take elevators when you're in a fire, we had to set up like a huge thing for me to get carried down the stairs, which like completely blew the whole administration system apart. They did not know what to do because they've never had anyone else in a wheelchair. They never thought about a fire drill and like not be able to use the elevator. So like that took like the first 2 months of school to figure out what to do, and it kind of shook the whole system. It took like the superintendent, everyone to figure it out, which really it wasn't a hard task, but it was poor planning by them.
Yeah. When I interviewed my person I interviewed, their crisis situation for her, what happened when it was her first year, they had a gunman that went to the school because they were being chased in a bank robbery, and they ran on the playground. They had guns, you know, they were shooting at the cops, and there was like a firefight. But at the time, her as well as all the upper administrative staff were actually out of the school for like a party or something. So when they came back, you know, they didn't realize that the school was shut down, and you know, there was media and everyone around the school, and this was like her first month on the job. And the thing that, you know, thankfully they had like someone inside the of the school district that came out and, you know, made a brief statement saying that, you know, this happened and what needs to be done to fix it. But, you know, after that, you know, she learned that, you know, in any type of crisis, she should always make sure that she gets information as fast as possible and, you know, be able to take it from there and know what to do. Because if not, you know, she'll come to school thinking, oh, we're at a great party, come back and see everything locked down, having police roam the streets, and you're like, this is not what I left, and not something good to leave.
Yeah, the key is just communication, really, with the right people.
Yeah, and make sure it's clear. Like, I know, like, so athletes have to come to school early, and we go through, like, all these compliance meetings, and we're literally sitting in an auditorium at the athlete center for 6 hours, just, like, going through compliance, and if this happens, what do we do? And, like, if people try to give us things, like donors or whatever, like, that's illegal. And so they have a very thorough and accurate action plan in times of crisis, considering literally all the different situations that we could be put into. And they really over communicate it, which is good because it gets it through everyone's head. But like Ryan said, like, communication is key in times like that.
Yeah, and especially during a crisis, it needs to be extremely straightforward, because then people start making up their own stories and things get really chaotic. So everything needs to be very, like, concise and honest during a crisis.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to planning. Like, a lot of companies don't want to plan for things that, like, will be unlikely to happen, like something like an attack on their, like, manufacturing plant, or like a hurricane hits their manufacturing plant, and like stuff like that. They, even though it's like very little it could happen, like, they always need a plan for it, because if it does happen and they have no plan, then their company's like destroyed.
Yeah, I know. So my dad is an electrical engineer, but he also like owns a manufacturing company for all the parts for generators and stuff. And he has like 200 employees in the warehouses building parts, you know, and they have a like a monthly meeting for all those staff to go over um, rules and stuff and like obviously crisis management for different situations because there's a lot of machinery and stuff in there. And so I think it's good when you have like a set plan for when crisis happens.
Yeah, especially in a big company like that, it's like one thing goes wrong and there's one person does something wrong, there's 199 other people freaking out, and it's going to be an absolute cluster. So if not everyone has the same plan, it's just going to be a mess for everyone.
Has anyone been in an organization when they go through a big crisis and have to go through that plan?
Yes. I did my freshman year. One of our teammates passed out and was non-responsive from drinking too much, and we had to call the ambulance to come and get her, and she ended up getting her stomach pumped. But like our our like crisis management team and the athletic directors came and like talked to us, and they're like, honestly, like we can't say anything bad about this because all you guys stuck together, you know, and you guys followed what you were supposed to. Like you called the ambulance, you told the coach came and helped you guys out, and you guys really didn't do anything wrong. So we actually applaud you for following our crisis plan.
Yep.
Yeah, mine just went off too. Are there any last remarks? Does anyone else have a crisis story?
Nope. It's been fun, guys.
All right.
Done.
Guess we're done.
All right. Sounds good.
I'll stop it.